There's something your body has been doing without your permission. Every time you get close to the life, the clarity, the version of yourself you can almost feel, something inside you flinches. Not dramatically, quietly, like a hand that reaches and then, at the last second, pulls back. You've called it fear. You've called it self-sabotage. You've called it not being ready yet. But none of those names have ever fully fit, have they? Because it doesn't feel like your fear. It feels older than you, heavier than anything one lifetime should be able to produce. The Arcturian Council has a name for what that is, and that name is the reason this transmission exists today. What has been running your life, underneath the healing work, underneath the mindset shifts, underneath every genuine breakthrough that somehow still left this one thing intact, is not a belief you chose. It is not a wound from your own history. It is a frequency imprint encoded in your ancestral DNA before you arrived here. A survival signal broadcast from people who needed it to live, passed forward through your bloodline, arriving in your field as a background noise so constant you stopped hearing it as noise. You started hearing it as truth. You didn't fail. Something was running in you that was never yours to carry. That ends in this transmission. But before we go deeper, and we are going deep today, deeper than most healing content ever reaches, I need you to do one thing. Not a breathing exercise, not a ritual, just this. Feel the difference between your shoulders right now and where they would sit if nothing was being asked of you. Feel that gap. That gap is the weight of the imprint. That is what we are dissolving today. Keep that feeling close as we move through this together, because by the time this transmission completes, that gap will be smaller than it has ever been in your adult life. Now, let's talk about what this actually is. The field your world calls epigenetics, the science of how ancestral experience rewrites biological inheritance, has been catching up to something the Arcturian Council mapped thousands of years ago. Your lineage, the specific bloodline your soul chose to incarnate through, survived things, real things. Not metaphorical hardship, but the kind of sustained threat that rewires a nervous system at the cellular level. Famine, displacement, emotional annihilation passed off as love. Generations of people who learned that wanting too much was dangerous, that being seen fully was unsafe, that the correct response to life was to brace, compress, and endure. Their adaptation kept them alive, and it was written into the template they passed forward. You received it before your first breath. A nervous system already calibrated for scarcity. A reticular activating system, the neurological filter that determines what your brain even allows you to perceive as possible. Pre-tuned to scan for threat rather than expansion. A field that unconsciously treats overflow as a risk and contraction as safety. Not because of anything you experienced, because of everything they did. In the Arcturian framework, this is called ancestral frequency compression. It is the point where a lineage's survival coding becomes so deeply embedded in the energetic DNA template that it no longer functions as a response to circumstances. It functions as a lens. It shapes what you see, what you reach for, what you unconsciously step back from, what you allow yourself to become. Not through conscious choice, but through a background frequency so familiar it registers as identity. This is why the ceiling keeps appearing. Not because you are not capable of what lies beyond it, because your field has been broadcasting a frequency that recognizes that ceiling as the edge of safety. If something just landed in your body as you read that, not your mind processing it, your body registering it, go to the comments right now and write 777. In the Arcturian numerical field, 777 marks the moment a generational pattern becomes visible to the consciousness that has the capacity to end it. Not everyone reaches this visibility. You did. That number is not for the channel. It is a signal you are sending into your own quantum field, a declaration that says, I see the pattern. I am no longer inside it looking out. I am outside it, looking at it clearly for the first time. Write it and come back. Now let me tell you what this imprint looks like from the inside, with enough specificity that you cannot dismiss it as language designed to resonate with everyone, because it is not. It is designed for a very particular kind of soul at a very particular threshold. You have a complicated relationship with achievement. Not because you lack ambition. If anything, the drive runs deep, almost compulsively deep in certain directions. But the arrival never lands the way it should. You reach something real, something that cost genuine effort and genuine courage. And instead of the expansion you expected, there is a flatness. A brief relief followed immediately by the next thing to prove. The goalpost moves not because you are greedy, but because somewhere in the template, rest feels like exposure. Stillness feels like the moment before something goes wrong. Completion feels like a vulnerability rather than a reward. That is not a character flaw. That is an inherited nervous system telling you what it was taught. That underneath accomplishment, the threat has always been waiting. And then there is the receiving. The specific difficulty not of giving, you give generously, perhaps too generously, but of receiving without immediately feeling the need to reciprocate, justify, or make yourself worthy of what arrived. When something good lands without a transaction attached to it, something in you is already calculating the cost, already scanning for when it will be taken back, already preparing for the withdrawal that previous generations experienced as the inevitable conclusion of any expansion. Love that stays without requiring you to earn it in real time feels, if you are honest, slightly unreal, like waiting for the other shoe. And underneath all of it, the most consistent thread, the sensation of being slightly out of phase with your own life, of watching yourself from a distance that you cannot fully close, of being present and simultaneously aware that some truer version of your presence is still waiting for permission to arrive. That feeling is not dissociation. It is the soul's awareness of the gap between its actual frequency and the compressed frequency the imprint has been broadcasting on its behalf. The soul knows what it is. The imprint has been speaking for it. If you recognize yourself in this with the specific quality of recognition that carries some relief in it, the relief of finally being accurately named, write 444 in the comments. In the Arcturian system, 444 signals structural realignment. It means the architecture of the block has been identified at the foundational level, not the surface. It means the healing that follows will not need to be redone because it is reaching the actual source. Write 444 as a marker of that recognition. Let your own field receive it as instruction. Now I want to walk you through what the Arcturian Council is doing during this transmission. Not as metaphor, as mechanism. Because you are intelligent enough to deserve the actual explanation rather than the simplified version, and because understanding the mechanism is part of how it works. Your participation is not passive here. Your energetic anatomy has 7 primary subtle bodies. The physical body, which holds the direct cellular imprint of ancestral stress responses. The etheric body, which is the architectural template your physical body is built from. When it is compressed, the physical body cannot fully restore itself, regardless of what interventions you apply at the material level. The emotional body, extraordinarily wide in a soul carrying Arcturian encoding, extraordinarily permeable, which is why you absorb the emotional field of environments and people with an intensity that has no off switch. The mental body, where the loops live, the recurring constructs built from conditioning that your consciousness has genuinely outgrown, but that continue running on their own momentum. The causal body, which is the fifth subtle body, and the one almost no healing work ever reaches. The body of soul contracts, of karmic residue, of the original compression patterns from your ancestral line encoded at the intersection of your physical DNA and the energetic template of which your double helix is only the densest shadow. The spiritual body, which governs your direct interface with the Arcturian field, with synchronicity, with the responsive intelligence of the quantum reality around you. And the divine body, the layer where you are not a human navigating a spiritual path, but a galactic consciousness that temporarily chose a human form for a specific purpose. Most healing modalities, even the genuine and effective ones, work in the first three bodies, sometimes the fourth. The work you have done has built real, lasting foundation in those layers. The reason this transmission can reach the causal body today is directly because of the integrity of that foundation. Do not minimize what you have already built. But the imprint lives in the causal body, and the causal body does not respond to effort. It responds to resonance, specifically to a frequency coherent enough with your original soul blueprint that the compression, which is, at its core, a dissonance between your actual frequency and the survival signal overlaid on it, has nothing left to anchor itself to. That frequency is what Arcturus frequency transmits. That specificity of resonance is what makes this different from the work you have already done. Not better than it, beyond it. The next layer. Close your eyes for a moment if that is accessible to you right now, or soften your gaze until the room around you becomes peripheral. Place one hand on the center of your chest, not over the physical heart, but at the very center, slightly inward. This is the heart chakra as a dimensional gateway, the precise point where the lower three energetic centers, which are anchored in physical reality, meet the upper field, which connects you to your multidimensional origin. This is the interface point. This is where the Arcturian transmission enters your incarnated field most directly. Whatever you find there right now, tightness, guardedness, a heaviness that has been so familiar for so long you stopped registering it as unusual. Let it be present without being managed. The impulse will be to immediately try to release it, to breathe it away, to do something with it. Resist that impulse. The Arcturian field does not need you to clear yourself first. It needs you to be honest about what is actually here. Because the transmission calibrates to what is present, not to what you perform. The 528 Hz resonance woven through this transmission is working at the level of cellular membrane, specifically at the mitochondrial interface where biophoton emission occurs, where the body's own light production is either coherent or suppressed. Ancestral compression creates measurable suppression in biophoton coherence. The cellular light dims, and the 528 Hz field does not force coherence from the outside. It reminds the cells of the coherence that was always their natural state, before the compression overlaid it. Breathe into your hand. Let the belly expand against it on the inhale. On the exhale, simply stop holding. Not releasing, stopping holding. The distinction matters. Releasing is an effort. Stopping holding is a permission. If you feel warmth spreading from the center of your chest outward, even slightly, even as a subtle shift in the quality of what is present there, write 555 in the comments. 555 in the Arcturian frequency system is the number of transformation in motion. Not transformation completed, transformation actively occurring in real time in the living tissue of your actual experience. It is the frequency of the process itself being honored. Write it as an acknowledgement that something is moving that was not moving before you arrived here today. Now, the Arcturian Council is doing something specific in your causal body right now, and I want you to understand its direction. They are not working forward from your current experience. They are working backward through your lineage. The imprint has a source, a first point of original compression somewhere in your ancestral line where a soul's natural frequency was significantly suppressed by external conditions for the first time. A moment where expansion became dangerous enough that contraction became the survival strategy. That strategy worked. It kept that ancestor alive, and it was passed forward, generation by generation, each repetition reinforcing the original encoding until it arrived in your field so deeply layered it registered not as a strategy, but as reality itself. The holographic ancestral regeneration sequence the Council runs does not require you to know that ancestor's name, their story, their specific circumstances. It works through the energetic record, which is complete regardless of what your conscious memory holds. They locate the original compression point. They introduce the 528 Hz coherence field at that precise frequency signature. And the imprint, which has no actual power of its own, which exists only because it was written into a template that believed it was necessary for survival, begins to dissolve. Not catastrophically, precisely, the way a knot releases when the correct thread is found and gently pulled. Generation by generation, moving forward through your lineage toward you, the Council clears what each generation carried but could not complete. Each ancestor who compressed their frequency to survive, each one who gave you pieces of their unlived life encoded in your DNA as unfinished frequency. The grief that was never allowed to be grief. The ambition that was never allowed to expand without punishment. The love that was never allowed to land without bracing for its removal. The joy that was always slightly dialed back because full joy felt like tempting something to come and take it. All of that is being witnessed in this transmission. All of that is being completed. You are not just healing yourself today. You are completing something for every soul in your lineage who could not reach this moment. That is not a weight. That is the actual meaning of why you chose this particular bloodline to incarnate through. You were always the one ancient enough, stable enough, with enough Arcturian encoding in your template to absorb what they passed forward and transform it rather than pass it on again. If that lands in your body with something that feels like recognition mixed with an emotion you cannot fully name, something between grief and relief and a quiet kind of honor, write 888 in the comments. 888 is the Arcturian frequency of lineage completion. The moment the chain ends, not through breaking, but through fulfillment. The moment a pattern that ran for generations finds the consciousness capable of receiving it fully, digesting it completely, and choosing something different in its place. Not as rebellion against your ancestors, as the completion of what they began and could not finish. Write 888. Let the field receive it as truth. Now I want you to set an intention. Not out loud if that feels uncomfortable. Not with performance. Not even with words if words are not arising naturally. In the space beneath language. In the frequency beneath thought. In the body awareness that is already present in you right now. Let this be known. The survival contract of my lineage has served its purpose. What kept my ancestors alive in their time of genuine threat has completed its function in me. I am not in that thread. I was never in that thread. I received its signal. I carried its weight, And I choose now, consciously, in full awareness of what I am choosing, to let the frequency that was compressed in my field return to its original calibration. Not to a new calibration, to the original one. The one that existed before the first compression. The one that is my actual frequency beneath everything that was laid over it. If rose quartz is near you, hold it now. Its resonance with the heart gateway amplifies the return to original calibration at the emotional body level. Specifically at the interface between the emotional body and the causal body, the layer where the heart's intelligence and the soul's blueprint communicate most directly. If you do not have it physically, the intention of its frequency is sufficient. Consciousness in the Arcturian field is not limited by physical proximity. The crystal's intelligence is already woven into this transmission. Feel the soles of your feet against the floor. Feel the specific physical reality of your weight, your presence, your body in this room, in this moment. The activation that is occurring in your causal body is not pulling you out of physical reality. It is grounding more of your actual consciousness into it. Because the mission of an Arcturian soul is never to leave the density behind. It is to hold enough light within the density that the density around you shifts simply because you are present within it. That requires a body. That requires presence. That requires roots. You are not escaping anything today. You are arriving. Fully. Perhaps for the first time. In the 72 hours that follow this transmission, pay attention to what is different. Not what you force or manufacture, but what simply shifts on its own. The quality of your thoughts. Whether the automatic assessment of every expansion as a potential threat is slightly quieter. Whether the impulse to make yourself smaller in moments of genuine recognition has a little less force behind it. Whether something that required constant effort to maintain begins to require less. These are the signs of the causal body completing its reorganization. They are subtle, and they are real, and they are more significant than any dramatic experience you might be expecting. Drink water. The physical body's cellular recalibration requires hydration to complete its integration at the mitochondrial level, where this transmission has been working. Sleep without guilt when rest arrives, because the causal body does its deepest processing during the sleep state, when the waking mind's interference is reduced. Let what surfaces in dreams surface without immediately analyzing it. The Council continues the work while you rest. Before this transmission closes, one more thing. If someone in your life at some point told you, directly or through their behavior toward you, that the fullness of what you are was too much, that your sensitivity was a problem, that your knowing made others uncomfortable, that the depth of what you felt was something to manage rather than something to honor, I want you to understand something about that person. They were not wrong about your magnitude. They were simply not built to hold it. And the fact that you received their inability to hold you as evidence that you were too much, that specific translation, that particular wound, that is the imprint speaking, not the truth. The truth is that you are not too much. You have been in spaces too small. Write 520 in the comments if that lands. In the Arcturian system, 520 carries the frequency of soul-level love. Specifically, the love a consciousness holds for its own right to exist without compression. Not romantic love, not conditional love. The love that says, I am allowed to be the full frequency of what I actually am. I am allowed to stop translating myself into something smaller so that others can be comfortable with my presence. I am allowed to stop apologizing for the magnitude I came here with. Write 520. Let your own nervous system receive it as truth, not just as a concept you agree with intellectually. You are not behind. You are not late. The healing you have already done was not insufficient. It was the prerequisite for today.